Break out your sheet pan because it's the secret weapon to getting easy dinners on the table, and I've got five ingredient dinners for you. We love a sheet pan dinner because you can get an entire dinner on one pan and cleanup is a breeze. I'm starting with sheet pan chicken pot pie. This one is the easiest way to whip up an old classic. So comforting and so fast. The 5 ingredients: puff pastry, chicken broth or chicken stock, which really could be a pantry staple. You just need some cooked, chopped chickens. So you can get this from a rotisserie, or if you've been listening, you have done some meal prep and cooked some chicken at the beginning of the week. A bag of frozen mixed veggies and some heavy cream. Also gonna use some onion and seasonings as my pantry staples, but let me show you how easy this one is. We're gonna make our own cream of situation here. No cans needed, but if you wanted to avoid using the stove at all, you could whip out a couple cans of cream of chicken instead of this whole step. I'm all about using minimal ingredients. I'm just gonna melt some butter and go ahead and saute my onion in here, in with the onion. And we're just gonna cook this until it's softened. I go ahead and add in a little salt just to help soften those onions and give them a little head start. Onion is softened. Now we make our roux in here and make us a thick cream sauce. Cook that down for about a minute and then in with our chicken broth. Whisk it to get out any lumps. Make sure all that flour's incorporated evenly. I've already got my salt in there, plus there's salt in the chicken broth, so I'm just gonna add in a little garlic powder and pepper, and then about a cup of heavy cream. You won't realize how thick this is gonna be until it comes up to that simmer. So we're gonna bring this up to a simmer and let it cook for about 5 minutes or so, just to further cook out that floury taste. Our sauce is thick and rich. Adding ingredients 3 and 4. A whole bag of frozen mixed veggies, which has 4 ingredients in it, and our chicken. Just gonna cook this for about 2 more minutes just to warm everything through slightly. Chicken pot pie. Sounds like one of those homemade complicated things. You saw how easy it is. You could add the crust to the top of this and keep it as a one-pan meal, but it's fun to serve it up on a sheet pan. Let me show you. All right, I've just greased the sides of a sheet pan just for extra insurance. Spread it to the edges. Normally when you've got like a deep dish pie plate, it takes a while to get it all heated up and cooked through. But because it's in such a thin layer, this is why it can cook so fast. For our crust, buttery rich puff pastry, I'm gonna roll it just to stretch it slightly so that it fits all the way to the edges. You could also use canned crescent dough, or you could just top it with biscuits or refrigerated pie dough. I just love the puff pastry because it's a little rich and indulgent. Just that easy. It's another reason why I love a sheet pan dinner, because you can serve straight from the sheet pan. After this, everything is ready. You can do this ahead of time, have this in the fridge ready to go when you get home from work. Pop it in, dinner's on the table in less than 30 minutes. This goes into the oven 400 degrees for just about 25 minutes. It's all cooked through. All you're waiting on is for it to be browned and bubbly. You haven't seen chicken pot pie like this. Now you're gonna want this to set for about 5 to 10 minutes so that that can kind of set up a little better, but it's not impressive. You know, like any chicken pot pie, you're not gonna get a perfect pie slice because it's all about the gravy inside. Look at that. Oh yes. Get yourself a double layer because, I mean, it's a slab. You've got lots of surface area to work with. And if I was home for dinner really serving this, I would serve it with a little side salad. Look at that. 5 ingredients. Brought to you on a sheet pan. That's some good looking chicken pot pie if you ask me. But you don't have to ask me, I know you trust me now. It's all about the flaky top. Oh man, I surprise myself sometimes. Like I knew it was gonna be good, but it's better than I thought it was gonna be. Chicken's cooked perfectly, the vegetables are perfectly tender, that cream sauce, definitely better than what you get out of a can, and that flaky, buttery situation right there. It's a good dinner. Next up, a restaurant quality steak and potatoes on a sheet pan. This is garlic butter steak bites with broccoli and roasted potatoes. 5 ingredients are, of course, the steak. Now I'm using 2 New York strips. You could even choose something less expensive like top sirloin. You might just want to marinate it first. Broccoli. Potatoes, I'm using gold potatoes because I love that butteriness of them. And then that's really it. I'm giving you pantry staples and letting them count as ingredients, even though it's not necessary. But I'm gonna do onion and garlic. This dinner fully comes together on the sheet pan. The only thing we have to consider are the cook times, so we do have to do things in stages because potatoes are gonna take longer to cook than broccoli and steak. Just gonna give it a little insurance. Got my potatoes, just gonna throw those on. And then I'm gonna add a little onion just for extra flavor, and that's what I like. So I'm gonna give the potatoes a head start. Just a little olive oil, salt and pepper. This will go in at 425 for about 15 minutes. And in the meantime, we'll get everything else ready. I'm gonna toss my broccoli, same way I did my potatoes. When you're cooking on a sheet pan, you need the fat on the food before you add it, because normally you'd be cooking in a pot or a skillet, and you add the fat there and you cook your food in. So you still need that fat element to create some browning and to carry the flavor. That's ready to go, and then we cut up the steak. They are garlic butter steak bites. I'm gonna cut the steak into bites. And you can also customize this to how many people you're serving. If there's just 2 of you, you could totally cut all of this in half. If you wanna save money, you can even do this with a pork tenderloin. I'll season these as well so they're ready to add when we're ready. And then just for a little pumped up steak flavor, I'm gonna add a little Worcestershire. Everything else is pretty much prepped, and the potatoes are halfway done. See how easy this is? All right, it's been about 20 minutes. I'm gonna turn the oven onto broil, because we're gonna add the steak. Try to get a good sear on this pan, and I wanna do it fast while the pan's really hot. So the potatoes are looking good. I'm gonna stir in the broccoli, then coat it in all that flavor, and then kind of push them to the side. And we're gonna lay our steak right there. When you grill steak like this, you're just trying to really cook most of the outside and less of the inside. So that's why I've got the oven turned to broil. It's gonna roast that broccoli and brown our steak. Steak and potatoes. Look at that. Got some caramelization on the steak. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and take everything off, because I gotta make the garlic butter, and I'm gonna do that on the same pan. No need to dirty anything else. Plus, I want the flavor from the pan. You could go ahead and transfer everything to your serving plates. And everybody's already got their plate made, and you just have to pour the butter on top. So then to our pan and any drippings, our garlic and our butter. And I'm just gonna pop this back into the oven. It won't take long, just until that butter it gets really melty. And as it does, it will be infused with that garlic. Don't put it right under the broiler. You could turn the broiler down, or just turn your oven back down to 425. Give it a little shake around the pan, a little scrape to pick up any flavor, and then we're pouring it straight over. Garlic butter steak bites. A restaurant quality meal, and only 1 pan to clean up. I like that. That is a good dinner. It's also a really good way to stretch out 2 steaks for a family. Buttery potato on a garlic butter steak bite. Truly a 3-ingredient dinner that is going to make everybody happy. It feels special, it's so flavorful, and for the cook and the family, you only have 1 pan to clean up. It's just a win-win all around. This next sheet pan dinner really only has 4 ingredients plus some pantry staples, and this is your something different. A pierogi and kielbasa sheet pan dinner. You've got everything. You've got your meat, your veggie, and your starch on 1 sheet pan. 4 ingredients: green cabbage for our veggies, because it's just a natural pairing with kielbasa, which is ingredient number 2. Pierogis, you find these in the freezer section. There's different flavor varieties. I like the potato and cheese, because that's just gonna go well with this. And then we're gonna make a little sauce with some whole grain mustard. I counted this as an ingredient because you might not have this in your fridge, but you should. It makes great marinades, dressings, sauces. We're not gonna dirty up any extra dishes either. I'm gonna start just by cutting up my cabbage, thinly slice it. And I'm just gonna toss everything right here on the sheet pan. And then also an onion, pantry staple. All right, this is gonna be our flavor base for our other ingredients to cook on. I'm just gonna toss this with olive oil and salt and pepper. Sausage is a perfect sheet pan ingredient because it cooks fast. You don't really have to worry about it undercooking or overcooking, because it's usually already cooked, and it's just about heating things up. Plus, as the fat renders out, it kind of flavors everything else on your sheet pan. A lot of times we deep fry these, but this is a lot easier. Then we're gonna season that up. A little Cajun seasoning and paprika. All right, these go into the oven for about 20 minutes, and then we're gonna give it a little toss and go in for another 20 minutes. But that looks so good. It's an easy dinner for sure. Maybe the easiest of the day. Just before this pierogi dinner comes out, we're gonna make a little sauce to drizzle over the top. A tangy honey mustard situation. So about a tablespoon of honey, and then some vinegar, That always goes well with cabbage, and then some coarse grain mustard. Whenever you see kielbasa, you always see like a potent, whenever you see sausage or kielbasa, whenever you see kielbasa, oh my God. Whenever you see kielbasa or any kind of sausage, you always kind of see it with mustard. So coarse grain mustard here is a perfect match. Perfect. Pull out the sheet pan. Lots of caramelization. It smells so good. You can smell that Cajun seasoning in there, which is going to be a little spicy. We have a little sweet in our sauce. Just going to do a little drizzle here, and then you can do more when you know, for each serving. This is a perfect dinner to make extra and have leftovers because you could eat this for a couple days. Add a little bit of freshness. You can do chopped dill or parsley. Remember, we only used 4 ingredients, so you could pick up a fifth ingredient, not a fifth. It's a big bite. It's the perfect balance of all the flavors. You get the smoky richness from the sausage, but then you get that tang from the sauce and that cabbage. The pierogis are just like a little pillow that absorbs all the flavor. Creamy in the middle. This is one of those combinations you might not have thought of, but it's definitely one you should try. And it's a 4-ingredient dinner that you can have on your table start to finish in under an hour. Winner, winner. Pierogi dinner. Have you ever made a salad on a sheet pan? Today's the day. This is a dinner salad, sheet pan BLT salad. It's so good. It was one of my first creations when I started working here. Forgot all about it until I was researching 5-ingredient dinners, and this is about to be that. So, BLT. The ingredients are B for bacon, L for lettuce, and T, tomato. Of course, it usually goes on bread, so we're going to use a loaf of sourdough to make croutons. This really bulks up the meal. And then ingredient number 5, avocado. I'm going to make an avocado dressing. You could also just sub this ingredient for an avocado dressing, whatever's your favorite in the grocery store. So I'm using a thick cut bacon because I want some fat rendered out. I'm going to use the fat to cook our bread for our croutons. When I get my bacon going, I'm going to sprinkle it with a little pepper just to give it a little extra flavor. Cook that until it's crispy. The bacon's almost done, and when it comes out, I'm going to toss this bread in there. I love using a rustic, hearty bread like sourdough. That way it's got all those nooks and crannies to absorb that bacon grease, which is what you want. Crispy bacon, lots of drippings. Perfect. I'm going to remove the bacon. Once it cools, we'll just crumble it up and put it on top of our salad at the end. And now in all those good drippings, we toss the bread. There are a lot of bacon drippings in there, but there's also a lot of bread, and it'll absorb all that flavor. I'm also putting the tomatoes in at this point. Just want them to soften slightly. It'll kind of bring out that natural sweetness in the tomato, a little salt and pepper. And they'll only cook as long as it takes the bread to toast, which isn't gonna be that long. Be sure all this gets evenly coated in that bacon fat. So this just goes back into the oven for about 8 to 10 minutes. 5th ingredient, remember you can do store-bought avocado ranch dressing or make your own, and I'm gonna make mine because it's still just 1 ingredient. All you should have to buy is the avocado because surely you've got mayonnaise and lemon at home, right? Into the food processor, drop your avocado. A little mayonnaise to make it creamy, and then a little lemon juice to thin it out a little bit so that we can drizzle it over, and then a little salt and pepper. And it really is not that hard to do, right? And then you know exactly what's in it. Delicious. I'm gonna thin it out just a little bit. I don't want too much more lemon, so I might just add a couple of tablespoons of water. Perfect. Now get ready to build the salad. Good looking. All right, now our cold arugula brings the temperature of this down, makes it perfect. Give it a quick toss. A little burst of those juicy tomatoes. While it's BLT, it's very reminiscent of a panzanella. You can call it a sheet panzanella. There's still some like bacon dripping remnants in there. Until you get creamy, crunchy, hot, cold, salty. Perfect. On goes our B to the L and to the T. And then the dressing. And I like to kind of zigzag it on there. It's kind of thick, but once you go to start taking your bites, it mixes in just like a ranch would. I give you Sheet Pan BLT Salad. This is a tray right here of perfect bites. I'm digging right in, which is what you want to do because you don't want the lettuce, the arugula to wilt too much. So this is one of those serve immediately situations, and if you're not ready to serve it, then just don't toss the arugula in until you are ready. Give me another little drizzle, and then I just kind of like to toss it around. That's a perfect bite right there. Tastes just like a BLT, which is one of my favorite sandwiches. The way the bread has absorbed just enough of that bacon grease to where it gives it flavor. It's crunchy on the outside, but still chewy on the inside. It's just like as if you toasted the bread for your BLT sandwich. The creaminess of that dressing, the juiciness of the tomatoes, and that salty crunch from the bacon, perfection. This is also a good something different to serve up for dinner, especially when you don't want something super heavy. And because we're just using cherry tomatoes, you can make it year round. You don't have to wait for summertime, although remember it for summertime because this is the perfect juice for those good tomatoes. My final trick, sheet pan chicken quesadillas. This is a fun and easy way to serve up quesadillas instead of standing over the stove and flipping a bunch for your family. On a sheet pan is the way to go. This recipe went viral a few weeks ago, so I thought I would bring it to you here again. I've adapted the original recipe to fit our 5-ingredient theme, so here's how we're doing it. Chicken, pre-cooked, or you can start raw if you want. Cheese, of course, because quesadilla. Green, red, yellow, bell peppers, and onions in one bag, so this counts as one ingredient. Tortillas, and then whatever you want to serve it with. Salsa, or I'll show you a little trick I have also. It doesn't cook terribly long in the oven, so I am going to start this on the stove just to kind of heat these things together. Just get a little olive oil hot in your skillet. These are still partially frozen, so I'm just going to cook these down until they heat up. I love onion in my quesadilla, so I'm going to add in a little more. It's a pantry staple, so it doesn't count as an extra ingredient. All right, now I'm just going to season it up. A little garlic and onion powder, chili powder and cumin, and salt and pepper. You could use a pack of taco or fajita seasoning here, but I didn't want to call for another ingredient. All right, now that's all heated through. I'm just going to heat the chicken through, and now we'll build our quesadillas. We can basically build like 8 quesadillas at one time. Okay, sheet pan. A little festive here. Gonna lightly grease it with a little olive oil so that we get a little crispiness on our quesadilla. Also, this recipe was written originally for a smaller sheet pan, like a quarter-size sheet pan. I've doubled everything because I use the big sheet pan. Line your tortillas up. But if you want to use a smaller pan, you can also use smaller tortillas. I like to put some cheese down on the bottom, down with our filling, and then more cheese. This is a good way to clean out your fridge too. If you've got leftovers, just throw it in a quesadilla. One on top, fold in the sides, a little more oil on top to get it crispy. Then set another sheet pan on top just to kind of keep it pressed down, and into the oven it goes, 375 degrees. We'll go about 10 minutes, then I'll take that top pan off and let the top get brown for another 8 to 10. It's an easier way than standing over that stove. It's all toasty, crispy on the outside. That's the way we like our quesadillas. For easy cutting, I like to flip it out. You could just serve it straight from the sheet pan. If I broke it, oh, that's beautiful. And that's even crispier. Okay, so we have used 4 of our ingredients in here. The 5th is a topping because you gotta serve it with something. You gotta have something to dip. So originally, I just had salsa, because it could be salsa. But because I was trying to be genius and keep this at 5 ingredients only, you could top it with a 5-layer dip, 7-layer dip, whatever is pre-made in the grocery store, because that is that many ingredients in one. So this is basically topping it with beans, cheese, sour cream, salsa, and guacamole all at once. I mean, I've never done that before, but it sounds like a good idea. See, I mean, you can easily get 8 squares out of this. Look at that. Sorry, but you know when you get them from the restaurant, they come out soggy. I do not like a soggy quesadilla. That's a hearty portion, and there's so much left. That man behind the camera said this is one of the top 5 things I've ever made. I might not disagree. I'm telling you, the crisp factor is what sells this one. Best quesadillas at home happen on a sheet pan. Trust me. That was so good. Have I convinced you to use the sheet pan yet? Minimal ingredients, maximum flavor, and endless possibilities. Which one are you gonna try first? That's a wrap.